A message from the Borg. Yeah, my Trekkie is coming out. Do I have any fellows in the house? Huh? To live long and prosper? Nice. This is one of my benefits of guitaring. It separates your fingers, and now I can actually do this. I couldn't do this before, but now it's like I used to have to like put my fingers in here, and then I could live long and prosper. Thank you to Michelle. Thank you for your Facebooking today, because our live stream went dead stream. So we're doing it by Facebook. And if anybody else has the signal strong enough and you want to do the live Facebooking, that's pretty cool, because we did it a couple weeks ago, and people were actually commenting in the middle of the performance, of the music and everything, and their hearts were flying across the screen. So it's kind of nice, to do it that way. Okay, so yeah, Trekkie, message from the Borg. I had. Before I get into this a little bit, it dawned on me how much of a Trekkie I am. I was sitting having sushi a few years back, many years back now. Gosh, the years become a few too many, a lot. But anyway, so I'm sitting there, I'm having this sushi, and it was over West LA, and the lady next to me ordered, and I was looking this way talking to a friend of mine, and I heard her, and I turned and went, oh, You're Muriel Roddenberry. And she says, yeah, how did you know? You're the voice of the computer on Star Trek. She goes, yeah, I just heard you speak, and I knew who you were, It was like, that's how bad it is for me, right? So a friend of mine who also understands this arranged a telephone call for me at work one time, and I'm at work, the phone rings, and it goes, hello, I'd like to speak to Stephen Rambo. Captain Picard? Well, it's actually Patrick Stewart, but if you'd like to call me that would be fine. Jean-Luc Picard? I'll have Earl Grey, hot please. I was like totally on, right? So, yeah. And then the idea of this talk, message from the Borg, came to me because I kept hearing, resistance is futile. See, for those of you that don't know, there are these villains on Star Trek called the Borg. At least they're seen as villains, and they always say resistance is futile. They are sort of half nano-man and half human, and they take other populations and they assimilate what is good about that population, because their desire is perfection, and they're trying to find perfection. They have a warped sense of how to go about doing this, and so they take over other species and make them their own and make them live in this collective, and they put all these things on them, which is kind of interesting, because if like you're a warrior, then you get an arm for shooting, and if you're a cook, you get an arm with cooking utensils on the end of it or whatever. They put, I must be hungry. That's the second food reference I've made today. I think I'm hungry. But anyway, but as I was thinking about this thing about resistance is futile, what came to me, how come that keeps coming to me? Why do I want to talk about the villains? But then I realized, see, they live in a collective. They have a connection to everyone, and what they think about is trying to find perfection. And I thought they just went around it a little bit backwards, but their overall idea is very in common with what we believe. We believe in perfection, we believe in oneness, we believe in the one mind and a common way of connecting to all when we get to that. And what came to me is that if we resist that message, it's futile, because it's going to keep coming back at us over and over and over, and thus the message from the Borg is, yes, indeed, resistance is futile. We really try to hold on, and holding on, it's a good idea when you're at Magic Mountain, to hold on. But in life, sometimes it's a better idea to let go, you see? And if we let go, if we do not resist, because what does Jung tell us? Or Jung, how do you say his name properly? The guy, what we resist persists, right? And so if we resist the call of the divine, if we resist the truth of who we really are, if we resist our oneness and our connection to life as it is at our very center of our being, that spot that's whole and perfect, that observer thing I was talking about, to see, the observer is not ever going to feel bad or sad or upset. The observer is completely above all of that. The observer notices sadness and notices depression and notices joy and notices good, but overall it's just like, yeah, life. It's just in that, life. It's like a surfer on the beach in Hermosa Beach, It's like cool, right? And so if we can quit resisting, then that persistent call to our divine self will arise and our life will become a lot better. That is the message that we get, you see. Heraclitus, one of the pre-Socratics, he's old. He's older than my memories. And he had, what did he say? The only constant in life is change. See? So this whole idea of resisting our changes in life, of resisting that part of us that's trying to come through. See, Dr. Holmes said that we have been left alone to make the great discovery for ourselves. And that great discovery is the truth of who we really are. The great discovery is our wholeness. It's our ability to overcome our obstacles in a way that, we don't go around them, we don't go under them, we don't tunnel through them, we rise above them. Thus all those ancient stories about water, and walking on water, rising above that stuff that seems like it's drowning us, our sorrows and our troubles. We feel like we're drowning in those sometimes. But when we can get to the truth of who we really are, if we can go to that space of knowing, we rise up above that and we walk on top of our problems. We walk right over them into the joy of life, you see. That's the journey that we're about right here. Now, sometimes, though, what happens, at least for me, is I know this and I speak about this. I mean, I don't know how this teaching works for you guys, but the way it works for me is I spend my whole week thinking about what I want to share with you, and then as a scientist of spirit and mind and spirit, I have these opportunities to experiment with the thoughts that I'm having around the talks each week, and life knows that that's what I'm about doing, so it's delivering me some hellacious experiments. This stuff really is working me. I invite you to work this stuff because it's like that song, Rolling River God. Have you ever heard that song? Google it later. It's an awesome song. And maybe one of our singers can do it sometime. But what it talks about is that we are these stones with these rough edges, and the rolling river God is rolling us through its river, and the stones become smooth. The edges become smooth, And so these principles that I talk about each week, I hope that you will struggle with them, because what happens is it rolls you and it bumps you up against other opportunities, and the edges get knocked off of our life and we become smooth. And who doesn't like that great river? I mean, campers here, you go to the river when you're camping, and those rocks that the water's drifting over, they're so beautiful. Because they've been smoothed over time. Yeah, the cliffs that are not in the water are nice too, but they're just so beautiful over time, you see. But what happens is, as I'm working with these different ideas, and maybe that happens for you, this cognitive dissonance comes up where it's like, this is what I believe, but yikes, really? Do I have to change? Yes, you do. Right? Oh my God. And this is bumping going on constantly, But the idea is resistance is futile. This bumping that's going on, if I resist it, it's no good. It's going to just get worse. Remember I talked about there's the balsa wood, ding, ding, get the idea, or the cosmic 2x4, kaboom, Go for the divine balsa wood. It's so much nicer, But we must make the changes. We must make the changes. I ran across an interesting quote from a guy named Swami Bayandananda. I wish Patrick were here today. Those of you who've been to Patrick's talks know about this guy. What is his name? Harbula Nanda. He needs to meet Bayandananda. He says, I believe we were created to evolve. Otherwise, Jesus would have said, now don't do a thing till I get back. Isn't that great? So I love that. All you guys, I'm taking off, but just stay as you are the whole time while I'm gone. I don't think that's what life is about. I don't think that's what it's about. He's got a great site. It's called Wake Up Laughing. He's about something called the upwising, is his whole point, that we should wake up and wise up. Wake up and wise up that, in my mind, resistance is futile. Wake up and wise up to the idea that you are divine emanations of the only thing that is. You heard Johanna's prayer. There's only one life, and that life outpictures as love.
and it's churning at your very center, what Harold was talking about. So we need to wake up to that and wise up to that and the power that comes with that responsibility. And that I'm talking about response-ability, to respond always from love. My goodness. What a powerful way to live our lives. And that's the truth of who we really are. When we resist the call to change, I don't know about you, but when I resist the call to change, I'm putting myself right in the first in the line, in the express lane to suffer. That's what's coming up. I'm not talking about pain. Pain happens. You stub your toe. Ouch, that hurts. But if you don't move the table that you stub your toe on every day, you're asking for suffering. There's a reason you keep hitting it every day. It's saying, move me. I don't want to stand here. There's certain things that we need to stop suffering about. We need to stop stagnating, And if we're in a stagnant place in our lives, maybe we're resisting a change and we're sticking with something that doesn't, we're sitting in the hamster wheel of life. I was talking with Lena about this earlier today. That hamster wheel, that hamster just but the hamster's kind of stupid. So it doesn't mind doing this all day long. But we get bored with that. I don't know about you, but I get bored with the Groundhog Day. Even in Groundhog Day, what did Bill Murray do? He learned to play the piano. He learned to walk around the hole in the ground. He learned to like the guy. He eventually punched that guy. I don't know what that was all about. But, he learned things in his hamster wheel of life, So if stuff keeps coming up for us, the idea here is to learn and to move beyond it, to accept the change that is coming into our life, That's our one truth. Dr. Holmes says, our position is open, in which we are becoming more and more aware of something which existed before we were even conscious of it. See, there's something that had existed before we even knew that it was. It's the thing that we don't know that we know. But the hint here is we actually do know. It's more like we have forgotten. And what Dr. Holmes did was so wonderful for us was he distilled it all down to these basic principles that we can work with and that we can easily understand. Simple things like our co-creative nature. You see, that we really don't have to struggle. Life's not always that hard. We sometimes think it's very hard. Okay, sorry, I'm having a monk moment. See, there are these two black lines down here, and this is where it's supposed to be. And if it's not right there, then I feel crooked. I should resist. I know. Yeah, listen to what you're saying, Stephen. See what I'm saying? It's in work in me all the time. The co-creative nature is what I'm talking about. We have this ability to create things that we never knew we could do. When Harold is looking at a song, he's writing a song right now. What are you writing over there? Okay, I won't. I'll wait. When we're faced up with a challenge, if we can just get quiet for a minute and go to that observer space and say, inform me, you'd be surprised at some of the solutions we can come up with in those situations, because we are co-creators with the divine, and we use cause and effect to make things happen. Very basic, simple processes that we were conscious of before. It's there. It's always been there. And as we wake up, we become more and more aware of this, of love and law and how that operates. That love is this feeling tone of the universe, and law is the principles by which that feeling tone unfolds as the good in our lives. If you'd like to know more about this, come take some of our classes, because this is not class day. This is like, just a little booster so you can get through Wednesday. And if you need another booster, we got one on Wednesday. And if you're listening really carefully, this will carry you all the way till next Sunday. But that's how this works, that we have this thing that we're aware of, that we become more and more aware of as we resist, as we stop resisting the call to change into the wholeness of who we really are. And part of that call that we get to is what I call the other truth. The one truth is that there is this co-creative nature that we're a part of. But the other truth is that we are all interconnected. We're all part of one giant thing. Last week we had a workshop well, we had 2 workshops. We had one on Sunday, which was a lot of fun. And by the way, did you notice the puzzle outside? There's a puzzle outside. It's part of the first workshop that happened on Saturday called The Wizardry of Jigsaw Leadership. And that was an incredible experience for all the folks who have stepped up into service here at the church. We call them leaders because we don't have another word for it right now. I guess I could call them the service guys and gals, but that's long. So leadership is like a quick, short way of doing it. And they all showed up. And what was really interesting was to watch how we are all so interconnected in what we do, and how the service teams that put the service together, and the practitioners that pray for everything that happens, and the music team that brings the harmony to what happens, and the adjuncts which support the board of trustees, and the board of trustees which oversees the financial and has a fiduciary responsibility for the church, how they all work in this one unified experience because we're all connected, and we become, through this thing called the Center for Spiritual Living, Simi Valley. And then all you guys show up and you feel so supported, hopefully, and if you don't, give me a call. Let's find out what that's all about. And if you're feeling supported, then you're coming here because all of these pieces, these jigsaw pieces, are all fitting together. And the folks who put the workshop together brought us this puzzle, and the puzzle is out there for everybody else who wasn't at the workshop to help put their part in, because every piece is part of the wholeness of who we really are. See, because we are really deeply connected to everything. Everything is connected. It's like when this pig was like rooting out at this acorn, this oak tree, and it's just digging and digging for the acorns, right? And it's digging up so intensely and just with its pig hoofs that it's disturbing the roots to the tree. And this old wise owl, I don't know how the owl got to be wise, but that's their lot in life. They have to know stuff. So the owl is up in the top of the tree, and it looks down at the pig, and it says, you better be careful there, because if you keep rooting around like that, you're going to disturb the roots to the tree, and the tree will die. And the pig says, I'm not interested in the tree. I'm just here for the acorns. Wow. How many times do we live our life like that, where we're just so interested in the acorns that we're not concerned about the tree? I invite you to think about Mother Earth and our relationship to that. We are all so interconnected. And so as we experience our jigsaw piece and know who we are and think about our piece and how it fits into the overall experience of life, are we digging at the roots and destroying the roots because we're so busy trying to harvest our acorns? Figure out what your acorns are and how they're connected to a source that brings them into your experience, and how we can be better stewards to that. And as we do that, we can become the change agents that allow life to be more beautifully unfold, be the transformers of life. Dr. Holmes says, everything in the universe, now that's a lot of stuff, everything in the universe exists for the harmonious good of every other part. Just rest on that for a minute. For the harmonious good of every other part. That means they're not just connected, but they sing together. They delight in each other. They dance together. Harmony is musical, it's rhythmical, it's beautiful. So everything in the universe exists for the beautiful, rich, harmonic, rhythmic goodness of every other part. And the universe is forever uniting what is harmonious. So when it's that's what the universe loves that. It was so much so that the universe put the owl in the tree to tell the pig to get its act together, because it wanted to unite, you see. Because if it doesn't do that, then it's diminishing what it's not. Then its things are falling apart. And that may be why we're having some of the problems in our planet, because we're not dancing in the good of the harmonious uniting of our relationship to the world. And so as a result, we're seeing that what is in the world that's good is diminishing somewhat. If that same thing's happening in your life, if you feel like your life is diminishing, the quality is going down, you're not as happy as you've been in the past, maybe you're not standing in the harmonious good. I just challenge you to take a little time with your observer to look at what you're thinking and look at how life's unfolding, and stay up here in this part, because you'll get more of the good in your life by following these principles that Dr. Holmes has laid out for us, these very basic principles that we are co-creative spirits, that there is this law of cause and effect, and we affect the cause. We put the cause into action, and then the love, the feeling, the belief, the tone that we put behind that idea outpictures in the principles of the universe, outpictures in the law of our lives. It's so simple that it's sometimes hard to think about. It's hard to do. We need to accept it. We need to accept it. There's I wasn't sure I was going to do this. There's a part in a big blue book. It has about 500 pages in it, and one of the pages has this on it. It says, "Acceptance is the answer to all my problems today. When I am disturbed, it is because I have found a person, place, thing, or situation, some fact of my life unacceptable to me. And I can find no serenity until I accept that person, place, or thing as being exactly the way it is supposed to be at the moment." Now that's the key. Not always at the moment. At the moment. I need to concentrate not so much on what needs to be changed in the world as what needs to be changed in me and my attitudes. Are you willing to accept that even the disruption in your life is exactly the right thing for that moment? The stubbed toe on the table is exactly right for that moment because it might be telling you, change your direction, maybe slow down. Perhaps you might want to turn the light on when you walk around in the room, or maybe you need to move the table. But there's some kind of thing that's happening even from those moments that feel uncomfortable if we can accept them. Because see, acceptance is not submission, it's not condoning, it's not saying I'm going to take this on. It's simply acknowledgement of the facts. Acknowledgement of the facts. And from that space, we can make a decision. And once we make a decision, then we put Dr. Holmes' principles into effect again. Then we go into the cause. That leads to a new effect. Then we accept our co-creative nature. We have more information. We put that co-creative nature into work for us, and a harmonious outcome returns as a result of that. Hafiz, wonderful poet, mid-century, mid-15th, 14th century, he says, "Your separation from God is the hardest work in the world." Your separation, this idea that we are separate from the divine, it's a painful thing. It's hard work. And the reason, and you may not think it's hard work until you realize that when stuff's not going right and it doesn't feel good, you see, and you keep bumping up against stuff over and over again, that's hard work. The easy work is to stay in the acceptance of our oneness, to stay in that place of connectivity and allow ourselves to slow down enough to hear the hidden messages. Because we got this, see? We got this. We are defined. There is this energy in us that is just aching to get out, to allow us to get into this space of good. It just baffles my mind sometimes how much I can stay in a position that doesn't feel right and think that that's exactly the way it's supposed to be, and worry about it, and kvetch about it, and then all of a sudden, I'll go into meditation, and I'll think, why am I worrying about this? Life is good. Life is perfect. Life is complete. And then the phone rings, and an answer comes to my problem. Or I'll walk outside and I'll see a neighbor that I haven't seen in weeks. And they'll go, they're having a meeting next week about such and such and so-and-so. And that was the very thing that I was thinking about. And I can go to that meeting and get some answers. You see, it's about letting go and accepting that I am part of this co-creative nature. But that takes work to do that sometimes. But it's less work than it is to keep hitting my head up against the wall constantly, over and over and over. See, life's joy is about knowing the truth. Life's joy is about living in this space of non-resistance. It's about learning to love every aspect of my life. And as I love it, what happens is I begin to protect it. What we love, we protect. And what we protect, we tend to project. If we're in love with life, we project that love out everywhere we go. How many times have you met someone and you just said, wow, they've got really good vibes? Because they're projecting something. See, there's something that's coming out from us beyond us. There is no, I've talked about this before, and I'll say it again, there are no boundaries. We make up the boundaries. We decide what the boundaries are. We also have the ability to expand our boundaries and to project outward the good that we really are. And over time, it actually works. You know, there's a story of some gold miners up in Auburn back during the gold rush who had found this wonderful gold mine, about 5 of them, and they decided they wouldn't tell anybody about this gold mine, but they needed more supplies in order to make the mine, you know, to dig in and get the gold out. So they went into town. They swore to secrecy. We're not telling anybody about the gold mine. Okay, deal. Got it. Okay. So they go into town to get their supplies and to go back. And the next morning, when they were going back out to their gold mine, there were like 20 other miners following behind them. And the 5 guys were going, I thought you didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody. Me neither. Well, how come they're out here? I don't know. So they asked one of the guys, what are you doing following us? Well, you were so happy and projecting so much happiness and joy. We just figured something good must be happening with you guys, so we thought we'd follow you. That's how good works. That's how love works. When you get that magnetic and that happy and that joyful about life, people will follow you to find out, I want some, like that, what's going on with Mary movie? I want what she's having, right? You know the scene, right? Yeah, bring it back. Don't stay in the gutter too long. Come on. There's a minister out in Leesburg, Virginia. Yes, wisdom comes from Virginia this morning. Reverend Sunday Cote. She says, when we know the good we have access to, and the good you have access to is the divine that lives and moves within you and is you. When you access that, we can't help but radiate that out into the world. What are you willing to radiate out into the world this week? Are you willing to radiate your joy, your sense of possibility, your love for your fellow human being, regardless of party affiliation, as challenging as that might be for some of us, regardless of which network you tend to watch, whether it's the one that gives truth or the one that says they give truth? You can decide which one that is for yourself. But we stand in a unique position as practitioners of the science of mind and spirit. We stand in a unique place because we have this total understanding of oneness, and we have this ability to know that regardless of the circumstances, good is unfolding, that the universe is a harmonious whole, just trying to evolve to a higher plane of that harmonious wholeness. And so we get to be the change agents and the shifters of that energy. And particularly in the climate of our nation today, it's so important for folks like ourselves to have the heart that opens up enough to hear the other until they're no longer the other and they're just us, speaking maybe in a different tone, right? And so are we ready to do that? Are we ready to stop resisting the call, the wholeness of who we really are, that we are love, and within that love there is peace, that we have principles that we can employ in our lives to lift the tide, as we heard in Harold's song, as we can lift the tide for everyone so that we can spin around in the source of love that's here in the world today. Resistance is futile, my friends, and so it is. Resistance is futile. I am Lucrutus. No, here we go. Ready? Like the wave is one with the ocean, I am a vital, inseparable part of the good thing that's called life. There it is. Sweet. Who is, oh, it's Johanna. I have one part.
I have the other.
Very good. It is prayer time. They are there. Thank you for your prayer request. And going to include in this Jeff. Some of you may know Kathy and Jeff, the Birds. And he's been in the hospital all week for something they couldn't figure out what it was all about. We've been doing some serious prayer work, and he's coming home today. Yay! See you at home later today. I'll call you. All right. I think they're watching on Facebook.
She commented on the live.
Oh, she did comment on the live? Wonderful, wonderful. All right. If any of you are holding someone in your mind that needs prayer at this moment, please just bring them to the surface. Use the observer, bring them to the surface, and let's know the truth of who that particular person is. If it is yourself, let's know the truth of whatever your condition is. We're going to combine our consciousness into the understanding of the one mind, right? Because there is only one mind, and we are all individualized expressions of that one mind. And in this moment, we have decided to work in the co-creative, cohesive nature of our being, and with the power of focused thought, unified in the one called CSL Simi Valley, we now become powerful, purposive directors of the law of mind. And we direct that law toward wholeness, toward peace, toward resolution of any issues that might be defined in the world as lack or limitation, as hurt or pain or suffering. And we transform that through our acceptance of the harmonious relationship of all in the universe. We transform all those maladies into right action and divine guidance and perfect unfoldment and perfect outcome. Be it around employment, the right job is showing up. If it's in looking for a place of living, we know that the right residence shows up. If it's a sense of lack of support, we know that people are rushing in to provide love and compassion and understanding. See, wherever there is a void, this universal love and power is right now racing in to fill it with what is absolutely right and perfect for its unfoldment to manifest in the good way in that person's life. This happens because we direct our thought and because we rely on the principles, and we know that just as gravity will take a rock from my hand to the ground without effort, the spiritual principles of wholeness and peace and love and joy and harmony will turn whatever seems to be discordant into the right thing, the perfect thing. So now that we have activated the law and set our intention, and now we just, with gratitude and deep faith and conviction, release these words and ideas to that law, which does not dispute, which simply goes about the business of the I am. So feeling confident in this idea, I fully release this word into that law right now. If you feel the movement of these words, and if it works for you, affirm it with me by saying, "And so it is." Whew.